Doomed. You're doomed. Yeah, what's good? Is the Civil War over yet? Dog, there was around like I don't know, what is it, 2 weeks ago now? 3 weeks ago? Charlie Kirk got assassinated, right? Some podcaster that the Trump administration liked very, very much. He got fucking killed doing another one of those change my mind events on a college campus. And as what happens with like every death on the internet, it was played up, right? I remember when I think the first time I saw this like phenomena of like the celebration of death in the modern day, I was like, wow, that's right, that's really fucked up. It was about XXX Tentacion, I think. When that guy fucking died, I saw some very like nasty behavior from people. And I cut off a lot of people for that. Like celebrating death. That's crazy to me. And it's funny because I'm one of those people that were like born in the wild west of the internet, so the stuff really is it's not shocking to me at this point, right? Seeing death, especially that fucking closely, that wasn't what really got to me. It was the celebration, it was the callousness of it all, right? I think it got to a lot of people, but it wasn't like it wasn't like anything we haven't seen before. People have been like this. We're in a generation where nihilism has been running rampant. It doesn't matter if you're a man or woman, left or right. It's just been happening. And I think this is like probably the first time that the mainstream have had to contend with the fact that the internet is not some fake bullshit that you can just like ignore, right? You can't just act like this shit isn't happening, like this shit isn't here. The very first video I made on this channel was about how you will never escape the internet, how it will always be here, you'll always be stuck to this. And I feel like people are finally able to somewhat contend with that now, but nobody knows what the fuck to do about it. Instead, they're just like blaming the algorithms. The algorithms are the least of your problems, okay? They are the least of your fucking worries. I'm thinking of some lore for the magic of my world. I have to rework a few things. And so while I'm thinking about the magic and the way that I'm having all these things play out, I decided to draw a little map. Really early on, I used this website. I forgot the name of it now. And I generated a bunch of continents. I have like, I don't know, 8 or 9 of these, and they're like super high definition, like 6,000 by 6,000. It's not like I want to be using these maps in the game, I don't think. Mainly because I'm going to be changing the landscape depending on like how fast the player moves, right? Like you don't want to have a bunch of fucking mountains and the player moves slow as shit. You want to have a lot of paths around the mountains to make traversal a bit easier. So it's just loose. Everything's loose. The reactions, outside of like the cheering for his death from leftists, you know, the radical left, people from Gamergate and all that. It also set up this like firestorm from the Trump administration because they've been looking for a win for a while. That Jeffrey Epstein stuff really took them back like a lot of feet. They're just looking for an out. So they used his death as a cudgel. And it kind of worked somewhat. Every political pundit and every grifter on the right decided this was civil war and the left's really going to get it now. They called like 200 employers of people who were very obviously cheering on TikTok. And then that was the end of the story. Yeah, thanks for that. Oh, you're going to regret it now. Well, I don't think so. I don't think anybody's regretting it, really. I'm almost positive these people just found a new fucking job. Job market's not doing too good right now, but if you're working in these industries where people are getting fired, so like pet stores and like FedEx, and or the places where they like print out stamps, like at printing shops, like you're going to get hired again. These are like base level positions are not being taken by AI just yet. Immigrants don't want them, or rather, can't really do them for some reason. So it seems like it was a lot of luster from very little. And of course, you had people like Tim Pool, uh, one of the right leaning. I say right leaning. He's more than right leaning. I don't know what to label him. He's not alt right, but he's not conservative. He's not a normal bog standard conservative saying this is civil war. And this is like the 30th time he's called for a civil war. And it's like, at some point, we have to be like, all right, bro. Yeah, yeah. Hee hee ha ha. Very funny. Another Civil War joke. And of course, because American media is so like pervasive all over the world and people from other countries don't really know like what it is on the ground here. I had a bunch of people come to my fucking DMs like, yo, is everything going okay over there? I'm like, yeah. What do you mean? People don't understand the United States is a really big fucking place, bro. It's a really big place, okay? It takes a week to drive from one side to the other. And if you're doing like the fastest route using like a cannonball, not a cannonball, but like there's a little race that we have in the United States where you try to go to the other coast as fast as possible. It's called the Cannonball Run. That takes 24 hours. So even going at your fastest, not sleeping, not slowing down, not stopping, even for the fucking police, it still takes an entire fucking day to get to the other coast. This is a big fucking country. we can't be fucked to sit here and like cry about every little thing, okay? Especially not Trump's best friends. No one's keeping up with this shit. And so it's like, I don't know, bro. There's some people that are like flipping Charlie Kirk out of text to say he's either a good guy or a bad guy. It's just another point of the culture war. I'm not seeing anything different. I'm not seeing anything unique. I'm not seeing anything strange. It is what it is, bro. You know, things have been like this. People have been dying. People have been getting assassinated. What I actually wanted to talk about, though, while I was drawing this map and what came to mind was like the pattern, right? Like, what's up with young men, like under 30-year-old men, doing this? And the nihilism that's like associated with this generation. I brought it up a little bit earlier, but like, yeah, people are hopeless, right? And it's all over the world. It's not even just in America. It's all over the fucking world. People are hopeless. In China, they're lying flat. In Japan, they're wasting away. The herbivore generation gave way to whatever the fuck's going on now, where they basically have apathy, like real apathy towards living, towards politics, towards everything. The only thing I understand about the UK is that Birmingham is a shithole. I don't know what that is, but I'm sorry to hear that. Sorry that happened to you. Hope it gets better. That is a bit too sharp. This, it's character. It's fine. It's whatever. Sometimes rivers just don't exist on certain places. I'm just like making it up as I go along. So what is this nihilism thing? So like I said, this assassination finally made mainstream media, which is the only media that seemingly matters, have to contend with the fact that yeah, young men are being left behind. They have no prospects, and they are doing extreme things to warm themselves. I forgot what that saying was. Actually, let's look that up. Hold on. Okay, here we go. So it's a young man burns the village to feel its warmth. A child who is not embraced by the village will burn it down to feel its warmth. Yeah. This isn't just like an American issue. This isn't just like a Western issue. This is a worldwide issue. And when you don't take care of your young men, this is what happens. We go crazy. And nobody wants to address that. Everyone wants to harp on about like feminism and what about women though? Yeah, what about women? This is a men's issue now, right? But no one wants to fucking address it. Instead, they're like, well, why don't you just control yourselves? Like they're being snarky, right? They're being catty about it. But like the problem is here, and we're seeing the results of the problem, and no one wants to talk about it. So even the mainstream media have found a way to instead tweak it to be about groypers and wherever the fuck, like, bro. There's serious issues affecting young men, and their lives aren't worth anything. They have no future to look forward to, and the instead we're talking about fucking groypers. Instead we're not talking about why they're going to the groypers, are we? We don't want to talk about that. Instead we want to talk about how they hate black people. Like, yes, they do hate black people, but like that's not the main root of the issue. The root of the issue is something else. Why doesn't anybody want to talk about it? I don't know. I guess because it's hard to talk about, right? We spent so much time trying to get advantages for women, and I do appreciate those advantages. My sister wouldn't be in this place that she is with those advantages. I think those are a good thing. All right, it's helped her out a lot. I'm happy to see her succeeding, but like, it's there has to be a sort of fairness when it comes to society and how we treat each other. And if there is no fairness, if there's no perceived fairness, then we're going to treat each other badly, and this gets worse. Okay, this gets a lot worse. Like I don't know why people forgot. Like we fought wars and killed each other for this. You know, people are willing to die. It doesn't matter if the violence is a school shooting. It doesn't matter if it's an assassination. You have to take care of your young men. You know, it's not just a thing of mental health. It's a thing of hope. It's a thing inside of us. I firmly believe that. But like I said, it's difficult to talk about this. We spent the past 20 years demonizing young men, telling them their suffering doesn't matter. Hell, we've been talking about the suffering of young men not mattering. Well, all men, not even young men, not mattering since the beginning of time, and it's true, right? You let women and children on the boat first, but in exchange, the social contract that was afforded to men, as I understand it, I wasn't born during that time, but apparently it kept them in line. Now, is there something there about like our grandfathers abusing our grandmothers? Like every grandmother that has existed for our generation was probably beat at some point by their husband. Is there something there? Probably. Very likely. Like why is it that people empowered abuse that power? I don't know. But marriage is like that's a failing thing too, isn't it? Oh no, this is very complicated. I feel like nobody is addressing it properly. I'm making this river double wide, so I'm going alongside the trace instead this time because it's a really long river. Like holy shit. I'm going back up here. There we go. I'm not saying we need to go back to those days. I do think that there needs to be a certain type of hope for young men. They need to feel needed, and when they don't, this kind of stuff will happen more and more. And like we talk about like facts not caring about your feelings in one of these videos, right? That fucking Ben Shapiro quote that's needlessly cruel, but it's true. There is a certain reality. Gravity does push us downwards, and we have to address that. We have to handle it. It doesn't matter if we should or shouldn't. I think things get worse if we don't. We can kick the can down the road over and over again, I think, and watch as the world slides backwards. We're unable to guide it. It would make for a good story, I guess. However, this close to a type of world peace, this close to it, not necessarily utopia. We'll never achieve utopia. We're close to world peace, and how we didn't get it because we couldn't hold back the snark or the assholes for more than a couple seconds. Is it just financial prospects? Is the issue like men just don't get houses and that's what it is? Or that, what was the fucking stat? 1/10 of men are unemployed and just missing from the job market. Nobody knows where they are. Half of women by the year 2030 will be single and childless. Listen, man, we can pretend it's not a problem, but it is a problem, obviously. Now I understand the motivation. I guess it's the motivation that made people laugh for the death of Charlie Kirk, right? It's the motivation of my enemies are ontologically evil. I'm happy to see you suffer. I'm happy to see you lesser. There's a sadistic glee that comes from all this. And that sadism, I think, is part of the exposure to the internet and the points that we gather, the social points that we gather from being online. It's sad, but it's part of the deal. It's part of the deal. It's part of the bargain that we make, right? In Europe, they have laws that basically stop you from saying certain things, but that doesn't necessarily stop the sentiment, does it? It still gathers over time. And I would have hoped that, like, during the first Gamergate, after that resolved itself, people would have been more comfortable with, like, addressing these problems, these underlying currents, but that doesn't seem to have happened. Honestly, I think the funniest part of all this is just the fact that, like, the Civil War just didn't come along the way people said it was going to. It was just a bunch of fucking tough talk again. And like seeing people like actually no, the funniest part is like the fragmentation that happened after that, right? So because it's the right and the right is conspiratorial inherently, there were a lot of conspiracy theories about who killed Charlie Kirk because the FBI is filled with a bunch of dummies, a bunch of fucking idiots that don't know what their fucking job is. And the people who actually did know what their job was were fired because they're not loyal to Trump in his aging form. I'd be surprised that motherfucker makes it to the end of the presidency. But like for like 48 hours, the FBI, the Federal Bureau of Investigation, was straight up giving people false information about the killer and if they had him or not. Like what a joke. But that's besides the point. Anyway, so the right, conspiratorial as always, fell into a spiral of did the Jews do this again, as they always fucking do, because they're conspiracy minded. Like, what do you expect? What do you expect? These are the people that thought Trump was praised by God. All right, I think something that I never really got to investigate or like think a lot about was the idea that truth is relative. Right? Should I talk about that now? I'll talk about that now. Sure. I've had this working theory for a couple of years now that when it comes to like things like informed voting, the things that are supposed to make a democracy work, they're very difficult to do because no one has the time to study up on every single candidate and every single problem when their lives are already so busy. And we don't have a culture where not even a culture. It's not it wasn't expected by the founding fathers that people would actually give a shit about politics anyway. So the system is working as designed, and the checks and balances are working as designed. The issue is that in a situation in democracy where everyone's supposed to have the power to vote and everyone has an equal say in voting, the idiots get to vote just as much as the intelligent people. I'm not doing a eugenics argument here. By the way, this is not a eugenics argument. It's an informed voter versus an uninformed voter. And so, like, we end up having to do this thing in campaigns where we have to appeal to the uninformed voter. It's like an idiot. What's the fucking movie? Idiocracy, I think. Yeah, I looked it up. It's Idiocracy. This is bad, naturally, because we have to make policies and decisions that would be politically popular, but on the face of it, just really stupid, right? Just really bad decisions, bad policy that hurts more people than it helps. But the perception is a reality, right? That comes back to bite us. And it's all because like the truth itself is relative. It doesn't matter if you tell people that the sky is blue. Sometimes they look up and they see an orange sky. Other times they see a purple sky. The sky isn't always blue, thus it is not blue. And even then, like the sky being blue is like that in itself is relative, right? Like the sky itself is not actually blue. Isn't that photon capture? If you don't know, there's something about like the photons that are being the light that's being filtered out by the sun. I'm sorry, by the atmosphere. Just so happens to be on the blue wavelength. And so those colors around the blue wavelength, around the blue, purple, orange wavelength, are able to stick around, but the red, yellow, green wavelength don't. I have a few details wrong for sure, but it's something like that. But the point is that the atmosphere itself doesn't have a color. It's clear. It's just like the ocean water, right? You look at the ocean, it's blue, but then you pour a little bit of ocean water into a fucking cup, it's not blue anymore, is it? The truth is relative, and nobody really cares about what the truth is. The perception is more important, and right now the perception is we need to do these things because the idiots at the very bottom of the totem pole who don't really understand policy and don't understand what's going on in this country, they want it. You have to be able to appeal to them while still staying on the up and up, and that sounds difficult. I personally wouldn't be able to do that. Once again, this is not an argument for this is not an argument for eugenics. This is not that. There's just going to be something imperfect about it, you know? And we have to accept that imperfections. Otherwise, we don't really go anywhere. It's kind of like how I think that this is truth. Like I could just be like spreading misinformation here, but I'm pretty sure there's this thing where mothers have like some type of instinct, some type of internal call, even when their baby is like not crying, that makes them always wary and always upset about what the baby's up to. And dads don't have that instinct. And so whenever dad is watching the kid, it's as simple as putting the kid on the lap and playing some video games, right? But for moms, that freaks them out because you're not actually watching the kid with your two eyes. And to us, it sounds kind of unreasonable. Like, what do you mean? I'm obviously watching him. I can obviously see my kid on my lap. And there's there's a lot of arguments that happen because there has to be some amount of acceptance that things are not perfect and they will never be perfect. We will never reach utopia, and that's okay. You can't attempt to reach perfection and then get upset when you don't reach perfection because perfection itself is inherently flawed. Like there's no such real thing as perfection. Everything is some amount of cope, and I think we have to accept that. But that's all besides the point. I think the overall point I'm trying to make is the guy who shot Charlie Kirk didn't have a real ideology, and the guy who tried to assassinate Trump didn't have an ideology either. And young men are in trouble, and they've been in trouble. And these school shootings, which are for the most part done by young men, are now being done by people who are just spiritually troubled. In the very first episode on this channel, where I talk about how you're never going to escape the internet, I also talked about this thing of like lacking third places and like people no longer going to church. I want to keep that. I might keep that. I might keep that. Church used to be this gathering place where everyone met every single week, and you had friends, you had people, you had rivals. You knew your town because you all went to church together. We no longer do that, and God is dead. And the new God is technology and wealth and pleasure, the gods of modern day. They don't do anything like the gods of yesteryear. And as a result, when these gods fail us, and the god of technology, I forgot about the god of technology. After these gods fail us, like they did in 2020 with the pandemic, where scientists that were supposed to be the pastors for this new movement of modern religion failed us, and they got things wrong, and people's faith was shaken. We didn't know where to turn. And when people get hopeless, that's when things start collapsing. It's a very dangerous thing. A lack of hope does a lot of things. I think that's part of why the Democrat Party is struggling so fucking much right now. They don't really have a message. They don't really have hope to give anyone. All the hope that they've tried to give people is run through a billion different focus tests, and it doesn't really sound very authentic, does it? No, it sounds like cope. It sounds rough. I've thought about what's to be done. What climate am I in right now? Should I even have rivers? Yeah, I'll have rivers. Yeah, that's fine. I'll have rivers. What's to be done? I don't know. You can't just give young men a house and say, "All right, be merry." I feel like a switch has been flipped. The right wingers claiming civil war was here were wrong about a lot of things. But one thing they weren't wrong about was that there is an undeniable shift in the populace. A lot of born again Christians for now, until they realize they have to drive to church every single week. And their attention spans, which have been rotted by TikTok and short form video, wouldn't allow them to actually come in every single fucking week. It's too much. It's far too much. And they don't like their neighbor. We've grown intolerant. It's very difficult for people who view things differently to come together anymore. And so I don't think this born again Christian shit's going to last very long. Just like the news cycle for Charlie Kirk didn't last very long. And people have already moved on. Nobody's talking about it. Even though it was so gruesome. Nobody gives a fuck. Amazing. Even though it mattered to the Trump department so much, nobody gives a fuck. All gone. Instead, now it's about the fucking Jews for some reason. Oh yeah, that's all I was gonna fucking talk about, right? So the right's been tearing themselves apart over this during the time when people were trying to figure out who done it. Um, Some that came up amongst many other theories were the Jews, because Candace Owens, I think it was, I don't know who exactly said it first, but someone said, "Oh yeah, Charlie Kirk was thinking. All right, he was thinking a little bit too much." And this turned some like crazy anti-Semitic tirade, and it kind of just evolved from there. I don't really have too much of a stance about the Israel Palestine thing. I think it's weird that such a superpower with such a strong military is taking this long to get their hostages back. That makes me skeptical, and I can't say I'm on their side. Not know enough about their history to have an informed opinion, so I usually say nothing about it, and I will continue to say nothing about it. I just think it's funny that the Jews are the problem now. The Jews killed Charlie Kirk. No, it's not some guy who's been radicalized by online thought. No, it's the Jews. He did talk weird though. Like if you've seen like the leaked text messages for this guy, he talks weird. He talks funny. He might just be autistic though. You never know. I don't know people who talk that way, but hey, weirder things, okay? Weirder things, always weirder things. I forgot this river. I forgot this. I didn't see this. Not river. Jesus, this lake. This small little pond. There we go. Something about leaked text messages and oh Charlie spoke to me in a dream and like oh okay we're no longer serious, nobody gives a fuck anymore, we no longer give a fuck, and maybe some of this was diffused by Charlie Kirk's wife saying I forgive the shooter. People have been suspicious of that too. I don't know what's up with conservatives in this, like whatever. When I say people, of course I mean conservatives. And now people are back talking about the Epstein files, and I don't know, man. This shit all just seems like a fucking joke. We're in a clown world right now. It was so fucking funny. I remember making a video around the time of the election, and I was like, people are so fucking worried Kamala is going to fucking lose. And I just completely wrote it off because Trump was talking about eating the cats and the dogs. I got egg on my face. Okay, I got egg on my face. I didn't think she was a great candidate, but I didn't think that people would be like, all right, let's go back to Trump. Let's have Trump again. Now, mind you, maybe that's just like a me thing. Like black people overwhelmingly voted for Kamala. We vote Democrat pretty much every fucking time, even though these guys don't really appeal to us. It is what it is. All these people are just too fucking old, bro. I'm still waiting to hear a message that actually resonates, a message that actually like gives people hope. I still haven't heard it yet. There's not a single Democratic candidate that's been scrambling around since the loss during the election, having their fucking existential crisis, that said, oh yeah, bro, we finally have an answer, we finally have a way. Instead, we've been going back and forth, assigning blame, reading another Reed's book about boys and men, and not really understanding the ultimate thesis of it. For some reason, we can't have men feeling better without rolling women's rights back. For some reason, we can't hold these two things in alignment. You have to lose one to get the other. Very funny. Very funny situation we're in. Oh, this is a series of rivers. This is interesting. Okay, so I think this... Where's the highland? How's it doing this? Is this just a canyon? Okay, this might just be a canyon. This is very interesting land formation I have here. In the edit, I might make these mountains up here, and that might make these mountains up here, and I'd make this a canyon. Isn't that very interesting? I talked a lot about like the nihilism aspect of all of this, right? And like the young men being left behind, but I didn't really talk about like the cruelty that comes with the psychopaths that made fun of how this guy died. And we're really loose with our language too. Like people are calling him a fascist. You look in the dictionary and then you try to match up what you see in the dictionary with this guy's words, and he's not a fascist. And it's like, okay, buddy, that's pretty bad to be calling people fascists who aren't fascists. Like we really should use that word for people who actually are that bad. I gotta go to fucking Wikipedia. I'm not seeing a Mussolini in this guy. And like when we're this loose with the fucking terms, it's like, okay, what do you want people to do with this exactly? Why do you keep calling them fascists? What are you trying to do? We're trying to make people alert. Alert to do what? Usually when you're making people aware during a campaign or something, you're doing it for a reason, right? There's an end goal. There's a reason why you're trying to make people aware. Aware to do what? What is the end goal here of calling these people fascists? And don't get me wrong, there are people on the far right that are fascists. That's why they're the far right, right? I'll consider Nick Fuentes a fucking fascist, of course. Like you see what he advocates for, and it lines up very well. But even then, you want to kill him? I don't know, man. What made people this psychopathic? I think it's just you don't know your neighbors. It's very difficult to do this stuff when you're looking people in the eye. But actually, I take that back. That's not fucking true, because remember Punch a Nazi? Around the time of Gamergate, a little bit after Gamergate, there was this campaign that was done by Antifa, where they introduced the concept of political violence, to me the first time anyway, in modern day. They punched Richard Spencer in the face. Richard Spencer was a white supremacist. He was a fascist. He had fascist talking points. He advocated for a one-state solution. He didn't want a Democratic Party. He wanted an ethno-state. He was a fascist, absolutely. Through and through. His ideas were fascist. And somebody punched him, and that opened a floodgate. And the right haven't attacked back. Well, they have. It's just that they don't attack back in the normal way. It's kind of like how violence for women looks completely different than violence for men. Violence for women is a lot more social. It's a lot more long term, a lot more damaging in that way. Violence for men is immediate, swift, harsh, deadly. I think it's like that across the ideological spectrum as well. Because the right always want to have an air of deniability, right? But that's besides the point too. I don't know why progressives are violent. I'm not progressive, and I can't. I'm not in their camp. I've never been in their camp. I've always found myself opposed to progressives, actually, despite being in the center. I've constantly ended up on this side that's basically saying, "What's wrong with you, motherfuckers? Are you guys fucking crazy? What's wrong with you?" And that's one hell of a thing. I've seen how they've evolved. This coldness, this attachment that basically says that if you don't agree with me, you can't live with me. We cannot be in the same country, and that's intolerance, right? That's like serious intolerance. That isolation created a lot more assassins and school shooters than I think they realize. And it's also part of why they lost. I think Trump was this thing where it was like, okay, in 2016, Trump won, and everyone was like, that's an anomaly. That didn't happen. They refused to believe it. He lost narrowly in 2020. People were like, whew, see, I knew it was an anomaly. But then all of a sudden, 2024, he wins again. People no longer think it's an anomaly, and only now are they able to reckon with it. Some people are asking the right questions, but most aren't, and it's sad, I guess. I'm still in this position where I don't really have an allegiance to any party, one way or the other. I definitely have assumptions about who I think would win, but um, that's not really reliable. You know, I find myself on the side of. I find myself on the side of Ezra Klein, and right, every time somebody politically attacks Ezra Klein, it's like politically attacking me. It's like, damn, bro, this guy speaks to me. This guy speaks my language. I don't know if I'd vote for him to run for president, but damn, like he has the right ideas. I'm very Ezra pills, all right? I think that all these things are multifaceted, very complicated. And that unfortunately you can't just use policy positions as your arguing points because objectivity and truth is relative. I truly do think that you have to meet people where they're at, and that means they're stupid. That's just how it is. You have to treat them like they're stupid without telling them that they're stupid, and that's tough. Look at how big this river is. Is this the biggest river in the world? I think this is the biggest river in the world, buddy. Hold on, turn off. Is one of the biggest, easily one of the biggest in the world. Holy shit. Whew. It's gonna look better after I put some offshoots into it. The way that rivers like this form is they have a lot of fucking capillaries that all feed into the greater river. Anyways, I don't know, dude. All this just like hee hee ha ha clown world shit to me at this point. I'm kind of just waiting for it to be over. I'm waiting for the bubble to pop. I'm waiting for people's politics to get out of their ass. I'm waiting for whatever XYZ movement to fucking end. I'm waiting for XYZ person to die. It's just a bunch of waiting. And in the meantime, I'm just gonna keep doing my thing, keep working on my world, and try to get out the game before I'm fucking dead, hit by a bus, or blown up in some fucking terrorist attack, or lost in a jungle because I went hiking on some fucking trail that I didn't understand or didn't know. And this fucking video series come back is going to be used as my a death log, and some conspiracy is going to spring up. Like, was he a Mossad agent? Like, I can't. I'm over it. I'm over it.